It's going great. I'm so excited for this race. I didn't sleep a wink last night. I kept waking up in the middle of the night thinking, man, when's this Zwift race going to happen? It is that exciting to see two of the best B teams in North America ready to square off face to face. Yeah, Two Bridges. Two Bridges is such an interesting course because for the most part, it's really flat, or it gives the perception at least that it's flat. When I look at Two Bridges, I think the two notable features are definitely the S's that lead into the Watteau reverse, and then the miniature climb that we would normally see on the KOM reverse. But then since the update, it switches to that dirt pathway that goes back and forth. If my memory serves me correctly, I think that's the key figure point of this race from the perspective that you're going to have to do that 3 times. And as I've said to some people over the last few days, it's like a miniature leg breaker from Innsbruck, but I think it's a little bit more intense than the leg breaker just from the perspective that it gets really steep towards the end, right, Rick? Can't hear Rick. Well, just to finish the what was that? I can hear you on my end. Let's see what they say here. Going to the comments. Hmm.
All right. All right. I think I might be back.
Testing, testing.
All right. So let's head back to the. Yeah, I think they can. I think they might be able to hear me now. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes on chat.
All right. So
Still
sorry.
no. Hmm.
Yeah. So it's a
Oh,
little
there you
bit of a
go. You're
lag.
back. You're back. Yeah, it's
Oh.
like a 15-second delay.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone. I know you guys. Everybody missed my soothing dulcet tone. So thanks for the feedback, though, everybody. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So I
There
think
you go.
let's get straight into the bios. And we'll start going through them. First up, we have the Dirt team. We have Nigel Baines. We've seen him before. He's part of the Dirty Rascals Stampede ZRL Division One, 1B America's West first place. He raced motorbikes in the UK, winning a championship in his 5th year. And he started riding just before his 40th birthday after just finding out about Zwift.
Jeez, this is a guy who on the leg breaker, the last time leg snapper. I always confuse it. The leg snapper. He just went off. This guy has massive sprint ability and potential, and then he can even hold it too with a 5.2 watts per kilogram for 5 minutes. Complete dynamo. I expect him to be very active through the sprint point and going up the. I don't know. I don't know if there's a technical name for this little hill. Is there, Rick?
I just call it the worst part of the reverse KOM is all I call it.
The worst part of the reverse KOM. Perfect. Nigel, watch him. He's going to be active there, 100%. There's no way he's not.
Next up, we have Robert Gagne Jr. He's a proud member of the Dirty Watts team and a father of 4 daughters, which I can say after having 2 kids, I don't know how he does it. And he mentions that Coco Cadence is his best friend.
Coco Cadence is everyone's best friend, right? I'm a big fan of Buddy. Buddy's my guy, right? But if we're looking at Eric, I mean, excuse me, Gagne here, we're looking at his 1 minute power. Like, geez Louise, man. I mean, all of these guys just have massive sprint numbers. To them, the worst part of the reverse KOM, this shouldn't be hard for them. I mean, it's always hard. Just because you're going faster doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. But I mean, from his perspective, he's going to have no problem keeping pace with whatever Finesse throws at him.
Yeah, and it would be cool if it was Eric Gagne, the closer for the Dodgers for years, but yeah.
Couldn't help myself. I see Gagne, I think of the closer.
Next up, we have Jeff Hines. He has all the possible badges except Everesting and Masochist. He's completed 6 half Ironmans and 6 Ironman races, the New York City Marathon and Comrades Marathon, and he's approaching 100 team time trial races for the Dirty Rascals Fury.
I'll say this about Dirt. They do time trials very, very well. Like, that is something that I think that team focuses really well on. And I think a core component of their strategy is contingent upon balancing their sprints, but also managing the race. We saw them team time trial back in a previous race. So know that even if they fall behind, there's massive potential for them to catch back on due to that really heavy, reliance on their team time trial. Also looking at him, I mean, I don't know what the Masochist badge is. I think that's the Alpe d'Huez 25 times.
Yeah.
But, if I'm looking at someone to create separation or to bring something back, I'm looking at Jeff here.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Tobias Scheller. He's VF-Everested twice, and he owns all the ride badges on Zwift. He's a manager of the Amida Dirty Beast ZRL and Dirt Time Chasers TTT teams, and founder and chairman of a local mountain bike club for kids and youth.
I mean, that bio is everything you could ask for from someone who, is passionate about riding, but also gives back. And I really, like and appreciate that about Tobias. Not only is he a talented Zwifter, but he then takes time to give back to the community. From a race standpoint, I think he very much represents that jack of all trades, that someone who, could go on the attack, someone who could close gaps, someone who could help team time trial. He really is someone on that dirt squad who can do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have Jason Sterney, the dirt father. He's been married 8 years, dad to a 3-year-old and 5-year-old. He has over 34,000 Zwift miles and less than 50 outdoor miles in the past 4 years. And like I said, he's the founder of Dirt and a former #1 ranked Zwift power racer in both C and B cats.
The dirt father. Got to respect the dirt father. I mean, this is a guy who at one point, I believe in the last, meetup, he fell behind. He came back on. He saw, he conquered. This guy is a very talented Zwifter. There's no doubt about it. His Palmares, his community activism. What more can you say about the dirt father? He is definitely someone too that can do it all in a race. Definitely if there is a gap that exists, he can close it.
Yeah, absolutely. And last for Dirt, Ian Wilson, former collegiate mountain bike racer, husband and father of 2, proudly the least accomplished athlete in the family, and he started cycling again in 2017 after more than a decade off the bike.
Wow. Talk about another stat rider for Dirt. A guy who is approaching that mythical, in my opinion, 5 watts per kilogram for 5 minutes. A great sprint. That everyone has such great 1-minute powers. I'm doing something wrong, Rick. Great 1-minute power. I mean, every single rider on Dirt can set tempo and pace up that climb today.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that's like, oh, this is a rider that could get dropped. To me, I'm like, I don't see anyone getting dropped from Dirt on that.
Yeah, so we got 2 seconds left and the race is on. So here we go. We're going to see a typical hard start out of Dirt, or out of the race here. We're on Greg O'Malley, who will go over the finesse bios here in a minute. But yeah, Ian, maybe walk us through a little bit of the start.
So the start here, it's always one where I'm looking down at my Garmin, like, how much longer is this going to go? Typically on this start coming out of the pier, I would say, you need to continue to push hard. I'd like to stay out of the saddle, going all the way through the banner, and then I calm down. I sit, I try and compose myself, and then, we see that already. We saw that it was hard through the banner, and now they're going to start creating position and start deciding, all right, what are we going to do here coming up this slope? I think if you're napping in a lot of races on Zwift, this small rise, this false flat into the right on volcano or left on S's can definitely put you in the hurt box. I don't expect that to happen here on the opening lap. I do maybe expect an early attack through the S's just because it's early on, and why not?
Yeah, and one of the interesting things with these two teams is that you're not really going to catch anybody napping. I mean, every single one of these 12 guys knows how to race on Zwift. They know what they're doing. These are some of the savviest B racers. I've raced against quite a few of these fellas and gotten beat by every single one. But they're going to save all the watts they can. They're going to attack when it makes sense, and you're not going to catch them off guard, I don't think, today.
I would totally agree. This is going to be who can set the highest amount of watts and really create havoc. A breakaway has opportunities, but it forces the other team to respond rather than being a winning.
Yeah, and you kind of see in typical B fashion here, everybody just kind of sitting in a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see when they kind of break it open. For now, while they're sitting in, just cruising along, let's finish up the bios. This time, we're going to head over to the Finesse Rockets team. First up, we have Nate Clausen, father of 3 kids. He ran competitively in college, like I know both Ian and I did. I think Ian was a little more competitive than I was, though. And he mentions that college was a long time ago.
Doesn't look like college was a long time ago. He's got the young face. He's got the young face. Looking at Nate, I haven't had the pleasure of racing against or with Nate, but looking at what he can do, I mean, again, another rider who possesses a power profile that I think really suits this course. He can definitely do it all. A guy who at a 1 minute power can really create some separation. We see an early move here. What do you know? Through the S's, a little bit of, hey, catch me if you can.
Yeah, let's hop up there and see who's making that move. Nigel Baines, just like you thought would happen. He's gonna make some things happen. Here he goes. So interesting to see, kind of in typical B fashion, and I feel like I could say this because I'm a B, but they're just content to sit back there and wait and know that most likely nothing's gonna get away there.
Yeah, too, from that perspective of, when you're in such a big group, that 5 seconds can evaporate so fast, especially on a downhill that's coming up. I mean, I expect the gap to be closed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I digress.
So next up, we have Steve DeBoer. He placed well in numerous cycling disciplines, and he says he occasionally wins a few races. I think he's selling himself a little bit short. He's a fantastic rider. And he refuses to accept that he's not 18 anymore.
His power profile is someone who's a very strong sprinter. I mean, it's always weird when Zwift has like the 1 minute grayed out, but it's close to 7 watts per kilogram. I think 7 watts per kilogram for 1 minute is pretty serviceable from the perspective of there's not a lot of races on Zwift that, you'll need above 7 watts per kilogram for a minute. There are some, right? But anything where you're right at 7 is perfect for a majority of the efforts on Zwift, whether it is the effort we see today or the leg snapper. I mean, this is a guy who you would want to try and keep safe for the sprint.
Yeah, and so, I mean, just hopping back over to Nigel here, this is pretty incredible to get 10 seconds on the field. I got to be honest, I'm pretty shocked he's been able to get that much time. 13 seconds now.
He is definitely motoring. The difficulty will be how much time will he have once they get to the climb.
Yeah.
Like how much time will hold on here. Because
I
you're already at such a high pace, and then you're going to then hit the climb. What can you do then once you've already been at threshold?
Yeah, I mean, I would expect that entire gap to get eaten up on the climb, and now we see
Finesse responding.
Yeah, here they go off
3 riders from Finesse.
Yeah, and I know this is a favorite team tactic of theirs, is to really go after stuff like this, and the dirt guy trying to chase on. Man, I tell you what, this is really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you get 3 riders up the road, a good move to grab them. Now you pull them right back. So now, if you're Finesse, just bowl right through him. Don't wait. Just keep going. Just keep
Yeah.
going. Nigel goes and to catch back on and does that miniature gap between the two groups, and we're right back to essentially square one with Sterney and Dan, who's now on the screen, just trailing right off the back, but they're going to get right back on.
Yeah.
So let's look at Dan. What do you think?
Yeah, so Dan, 0 Zwift wins, fueled by Little Debbie, and he says he does not like road bikes.
Chasing the mythical Zwift win. Like if it's a group ride or like any kind of race, like getting that first Zwift win, like feels good. But it's difficult. It's hard to get. Looking at his power profile, typical mountain biker, someone who's an off-road specialist, right? Someone who's got, a profile that I can handle sustained efforts. See that, with the 4.28 watts per kilogram 20 and 4.73 5-minute. I mean, this is a motor. This is a guy who you want off the front, someone dictating pace. So, I mean, I think Dan will be most likely pretty active as far as chasing things down. In the early part of that attack there's no reason for him to go yet.
Yeah.
But I expect him later on in the race to be someone who can bridge gaps and really cause an attack or two.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and hop over to the dirt comms, and let's see what they have going on there. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
How's it going, fellas? You all ready for your first leg snapper?
Here we go.
Or not leg snapper, reverse KOM.
Reverse KOM.
I saw
these boys are strong, so we're giving them all the respect that they're due for sure.
I mean, you guys, looking at the videos, everybody looks pretty good. Heart rates look low 100s probably.
Yeah, I think everyone's keeping their powder dry, feeling each other out. It's still super early. I think this next couple minutes might be somewhat telling.
From a strategy perspective, is there a power up you think that your riders look for more than others on a ascent like this?
Our guys are all really good with 1 minute power, so this ascent just plays to their natural abilities without power.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys moving, boys.
Good
job. Everyone's in there.
Numbers impressive.
Good job, guys. Keep pushing. Almost to the top. Good job. Good job. Good job, Jeff.
All right, fellas. Good luck on the rest of your race today.
All right, guys. We'll talk.
A lot of stuff going on there.
I had to pose the question. Normally, when we jump into the team chats, I'm normally quiet and just observant and watching what's going on. But it's an opportunity. Like I said, they all have strong 1 minute powers, and he said the exact thing. We're not really too concerned about power ups because it already plays into a majority of our riders' power profiles. Which obviously, when you're selecting a course and you're selecting the riders for your team, that makes sense. But we can see, and I posed the question as far as, but if they attack or you try and attack, what would you want to have? Like, what would you want to have on that, Rick?
Up the hill if they attack? It's a good question. I mean, I would either want to have a feather or an arrow power up for going down to catch on the downhill. If somebody gets 2-3 seconds on a downhill, I'm honestly not that incredibly worried about it. Like, what about you? What do you think?
I'm a big fan of the van, just from the perspective that I want to try and conserve as much as I possibly can, and I would probably hit it towards the top so that on the downhill I can maximize my recovery and my draft. I think that's really important for me as a rider. I'm not too worried about the arrow or feather, but just the van to be able to latch back on and to ensure that I don't get dropped. I think the part I struggle with is when I get over the top of something, holding onto wheels.
Yeah.
You see a move coming here from Finesse again. a trio of finesse riders, Rick.
Yeah, and so I mean, what you're seeing here is we have three finesse riders off the front, and you see O'Malley jumping to the front and slowing down. He's trying to get Dirt caught in the sticky draft. I'm sure of that. I've done this same thing before and slow them down and get some seconds into them. And with finesse with three people off the front, I think that's actually a pretty dangerous move for Dirt to let this one go with three guys. What do you think?
I would agree. I would say that, at this point, you would want to bridge probably sooner rather than later. Do you get Nigel to bridge, or do you get someone else? I mean, I think Jeff Hines here would probably be a good pick to try and bridge. I mean, shoot, creating that sticky draft is really smart from Rick O'Malley's standpoint. It shows high level of Zwift racing craft.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to find much higher level Zwifting than these guys that are out on course from both teams, to be honest. And you see Finesse, they're one of the best TTT teams in the world in Cat B. I know they were, I think, fourth out of all the B teams this last week in the Mighty Met. So, letting them get into TTT shape and do this is a dangerous thing to do.
Absolutely.
All right, let's finish up the bios. Hop back over here. So we finished up with Dan. We have Greg O'Malley, who we've been watching try to sticky draft him. Greg has over 700 Zwift races. One of the best tactical Zwift racers in the game. Just truly amazing how low he can keep his watts per kilo. He said he's Zwifting on a Neo 2, and he also mentions that, yes, he does have a really low heart rate before you ask. So we can hop over to that. So 137, you rarely see Greg get anything above 150. And he also mentions, just like my kids, he hates vegetables. He prefers cakes and chocolate.
When I look at Greg O'Malley, I think he's probably one of the most accomplished Zwift racers, and certainly one of the most experienced on the platform with over 700 races. We see his tactical knowledge in place already in this race. I mean, Greg O'Malley is a guy, if you're putting together a B squad, like an all-star B squad, it'd be a mistake not to include him just because he knows the platform so well and he knows how to race. But then you look at his 1 minute and 15-second power. I mean, this guy is a complete dynamo. He can slam on the pedals and create massive separation. But then I think what is most telling about what he can do from a perspective of power is that repeatability. He can hit those numbers multiple times in a race if he needs to, right? So definitely a guy that I think every racer on Zwift, when they see him line up, automatically respects the fact that he's in the race.
Yeah.
Never count him out.
I know he's been the number one B very recently. I think he's top 5 right now. So he's somebody to watch out for. And it looks like Finesse, on the downhill, they have 10 seconds right now. So probably around 7 actual seconds on the flat, those three guys. So a dangerous move here for sure off the front. Next up, we have Austin Tenelshoff. I hope I'm saying that right. I practiced. He's currently in the Army. He's new to Zwift, but I can say it doesn't show. He is a beast. He also competes in CrossFit, and he's the father of 2 beautiful dogs.
Okay. I had the pleasure of racing against Austin the other day in the Rise On Challenge in stage 2 of Bahrain. And, I was taken aback by just how strong he is and how long he can be consistent on the pedals. Now, granted, you said he was new to the Zwift platform. It definitely showed in later stages of that race, as I don't think a lot of people actually realize that when you do Bahrain, it's hard. It's like 11% like the whole way. And he was like, I just didn't know. He's going to learn the platform more and more. But you look at those power numbers, and it's no surprise that he's in this breakaway group because he looks like he's a breakaway specialist. With a 4.31, he's got tremendous 20-minute power, and I expect him to develop those other attributes as time goes on. So as far as, are you the aggressor or are you defending? In his perspective from Austin, he has to attack and he has to be a breakaway guy because he just doesn't yet possess the 1 minute power that's necessary to match the dirt guys. So try and create separation early for him, and you can clearly see that.
Yeah, I think this is a smart tactic by Finesse. Next up, we have Joe Thomas. He's here for some friendly competition and winter motivation, and I can tell you for a fact, racing against Joe does not feel like friendly competition when you're against him. He's the Iceman age group champ 4 times. He is a Cat 3 Masters State Road Race champ and 2nd overall at Barry-Roubaix. I had to shorten this up pretty significantly because of all his amazing accomplishments. And he says he's a trim carpenter and cabinet maker that for his job. He doesn't have kids yet.
A lot of respect for Joe Thomas. His outdoor Palmares speak for themselves. I mean, he is an extremely talented rider. We see that mythical 5.24 watts per kilogram. Maybe I'm playing it up too much, but I just think that anything over 5 watts per kilo for 5 minutes is impressive riding. You know, Joe is, again, another guy who you see off the front because he's a motor. He's an absolute motor who can go off the front and hold it. And yeah, I've had to race against him too, and it's not friendly. He's out for blood. He's out to prove that he's the top dog.
Yeah. So let's hop over to the Finesse Discord for this time up the hill.
Joe, lead the way. Yep. Try and do 4.5 here on the 2%. Yep, you're doing good. Just keep going. 4.5 here. Maybe.
Well, it sounded like we weren't getting all the audio from Finesse. I don't know if I know they normally ride with push to talk on, but I don't know if that was having any effect. And here we see a move out of Dan, making a bridge, and you see Dirt responding. Pretty cool here. What do you think about this?
I don't know what to think because I think it's curious. But I think I understand what he's doing. I think he went hard and backed off to try and create a sticky draft, or that's, I think, what he was attempting. I don't think he was trying to bridge. I think he was trying to do something similar to Greg there. But it's sometimes hard to tell, but I would assume that's what's happening. We see that gap comes down to 4 seconds. I mean, I would say that's pretty typical on any kind of climb, that because of the mass of the group, the ability to pull people back, whether it's on an uphill or a downhill, is pretty substantial. Now it's 2 to 3 seconds. Now it becomes, okay, do you try and do another breakaway, or does Dirt respond? I mean, they're in an interesting position.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think if I was Dirt, personally, I would come right over the top because you have 3 tired guys out front, you know, who, I mean, they clearly didn't go on that hill 100% all out. You know, I would make a big attack with 3 of my guys right over the top. I'd be sitting in the back right here. I mean, you still have 3 of the Finesse guys who are somewhat fresh in your pack, but it seems like trying to catch them off guard would be a good tactic. At least what I would be trying to do as they come to close to the end of this second lap.
I mean, it has been exciting, no doubt about it, and wondering whether or not Dirt will close the gap. I think the difficulty, though, in this course is that by inertia, the gaps will close because of the steepness of the hill followed by the downhill. I mean, and then coupled with, you know, good tactical racing, you know, you see Dirt going into the famous flying V as they try and catch up to Finesse. Hopefully that's not copyrighted.
Well, if it is, we'll get taken off the air pretty quick. Yeah, I mean...
no, sorry.
If if I'm Dirt, I don't want it to come down to a sprint with O'Malley in there. I mean, I would be sitting back and just kind of waiting for this to come back together. But it doesn't look like that's what they're planning to do. But maybe we can hop over to their comms and listen in a little bit and see what they're thinking.
Definitely, this is the perfect time to do it.
Are the guys good with that?
Yes.
Jeff, you okay, bud?
Yeah.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1, go. Stay on each other's wheel. Use each other, though.
Sorry, boys.
You're okay.
Patrick's coming.
Everybody,
They're all coming.
You got a good guy out. Keep going.
yeah, they got a guy on their front. Just follow their wheel. They'll drop their own rider. That was a good little test. You guys did good.
Getting after it. That was a fun time.
I mean, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, that falls flat. If you're not paying attention, you can cause some havoc, and we saw it there. We saw that Finesse had to respond. Joe Thomas and Nate Clausen had to latch back on and use some energy that they probably didn't want to use. We jumped in at the perfect time. Dirt launched an attack. It's not that we're being prophetic and saying that, hey, this is an opportunity to catch someone napping. It is simply the nature of the Zwift race, knowing that on that false flat, it is enough of a gradient that you do have to respond if someone tries to attack and that they try to go. It's the same thing through the S's. The disadvantage of attacking the S's is that you have a long downhill going into the reverse sprint, so it's not as advantageous. While the false flat, if you create some of that separation, you go into the S's with a little bit of a lead.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things I think I'm getting echo. So one of the things I've been thinking about is how you're going to finish this race off. If I'm Dirt, what I'd probably try to attack up that reverse KOM. And if I'm Finesse, I wait in for the sprint. What do you think, Ian?
I agree. I think if you're Dirt, you need to hit it. You need to hit it hard and try and drop some of the Finesse riders on this final ascent. You don't want to leave it to that sprint finish, right? You don't. I mean, it would be awesome to see O'Malley and Nigel go head-to-head sprinting. No doubt about it. Like, I think that will still probably happen. That's what my gut tells me. But I think tactically speaking, I totally agree with you that it plays to Dirt's advantage to onslaught this final ascent and try and shed riders. I mean, it's the final lap. You might as well be all in and attacking that hill because you have enough of a recovery time between the top and the finish line to do a little bit of a micro recovery and be ready to sprint again, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would probably try to do. One of the things I just thought about as we see Austin go off the front here is that this is the first match race we've seen where all 12 people have been together this late in the race. I think it shows you the high level of both of these teams. Every single person racing is fantastic. But it also would make me nervous about trying to attack up that hill. It also makes me nervous to sit and wait for the sprint. So I don't know. It's a tricky question. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I think just the nature of the hill, because there's a downhill that follows. I mean, it's hard to get away. It's hard to say I'm going to go all in on this and then not get caught. As you come into the run and the finish. I think credit where credit is deserved from not only the DS standpoint, but also the rider standpoint of everyone being able to stay attached and to not panic. I really like this course because I think it presents a wide array of tactical options for teams to practice. And I think, yeah, it is a head to head and it is competitive, but I think it also gives you a chance to build your squad up from a perspective of I've got, guys that are going to be racing in ZRL. I want my team chemistry to be on. I want there to be consistency with the people that I'm riding with, and I want to know who my teammates are. So I think, yeah, this is match play and it's a head to head, but it's also an opportunity for these squads to grow together and from a tactical standpoint, really learn what their strengths are so that each time they approach a new course in the ZRL or whatever race they go into, they know what their team tactics will be because they had previous race experience. And I think that speaks a lot to what we're trying to offer here. It's very compelling.
Definitely. And I see in the chat, people are saying all the attacks are fake. Also, I apologize for the echo, everyone. I don't know why I got an echo when we switched over. So as we go into the last climb here, do you want to listen into maybe the finesse comm, see if we can get a little more?
Yeah. I mean, I think the comment is interesting. All the attacks are fake. I agree and I disagree. I agree from the standpoint that there are going to be flaw attacks, but I do think that the breakaway that was launched by Finesse was definitely a legitimate attack. But I don't think, and then from the perspective of I agree with the standpoint of, yeah, but then on the leg snap here going up to the reverse KOM, they didn't go all in, even though they had 10 seconds. So I understand where we're coming from. Is it a real attack? Is it not a real attack? Because if it is, you do go all in on that and see what happens. But I digress. Let's go into finesse.
Finish, I'll probably just let you guys handle it like you normally would in a race. I won't get in your way.
All right. I'm not exactly sure why we're not catching the finesse comms, but bright side, I'm not getting an echo now, so that's good.
Well, the only thing I heard from the DS was, I'm going to step back and I'm going to let you race, which I think in the latter stages of a race, especially here, you got to let the riders ride. Now, once you get into the sprint finish, that's where a DS can, pop back in. But at this point, it's just, you got to ride. There's nothing a DS can say here in the final lap on this ascent. You just got to lay it all out there. And we see another move by Dan. That's 2 laps in a row where he's taken it upon himself to put on a massive, massive effort.
Yeah, he's pushing harder this time, although it looks like it's going down a little bit. You see Dirt responding with a nice little response with 3 people there. I like this move by Baines, to be honest with you, to try to create some separation.
Can't let him go.
Yeah. I mean, this puts the pressure on Finesse to really work together to try to bring things back if Baines were to keep that going. But it looks like they're pretty unconcerned.
Again, like, it's so hard to tell, from a director's sportive standpoint. You do, want to sprint and create a good super tuck draft, which we do see here from Finesse, to make sure that 2 seconds doesn't go, right? And then I would expect to see someone over the top of Nate towards the bottom of this downhill, right? But I mean, you do not want that 1 second to grow. Yeah, it's a sprint finish, and that 1 second can evaporate. But, it's Baines off the front who has an amazing sprint. If he has a 1 second gap on you, that's just too much to ask, even if there's a draft, because once you're out of the draft, it's still hard. I mean, later in this race here, as we come into the sprint finish, you have to think that a Joe Thomas, an Austin, a Tobias, a Gagne, that they will attempt to go early.
Sorry to cut you off. We're going to hop into the Dirt Discord and listen up.
This is the sprint, boys. Big bro, everything in, everything you got. This is everything. Let's go, Dirt. Let's go. Let's go. Push, 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 push. Everything, guys. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop. Push, push, push. Everybody. We need everybody. Everybody push. Hard, 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 hard. Good job, guys.
Second, third.
Yep, second and third. Well done, boys.
Well, that was quite a finish there. I saw it looked like to me like it went finesse, dirt, finesse. What do you think, Ian? What did you see?
Man, I kind of saw a little bit of a difference. But I mean, the match results will tell us. But looking at it, I thought it was finesse, dirt, finesse, dirt. That's what I saw. I saw dirt as second and third, finesse 1 and 4, and then the fourth place I couldn't really tell because there is that server side delay. And we've all encountered this as Zwift racers. We think we come across the line in first, second, third, whatever have you, and then it's like, actually, you're bumped down 2 places.
Yeah.
So I think it's really difficult to tell. I think we saw a little bit of a difference, but I think it's pretty concrete that third or first place was O'Malley and third was probably a dirt rider, but second and fifth place, I can't really tell.
Yeah.
Let's see what does chat say.
Yeah, but let's hop over to dirt. Maybe they can tell us we'll do our team interview and they can tell us the results.
Perfect.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Great race. That was intense.
No biting.
So we didn't get a chance to see the results. What it looked like you guys were maybe 2, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 5.
Definitely
2, 3,
2,
maybe
3.
5.
Yeah.
And then 4 was one of them, and it's 5.
Wow.
I was either 4 or 5, and I think they got me at the line.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic fun, lots of attacks. What did you all think? What are the impressions here?
Well, I think going in we knew that they were a formidable opponent for sure. I mean, their numbers don't lie, and they were everything that we thought they would be. And so as it turns out, we had to play a little bit more defensive than maybe we did last time in the last 6x6 race we did with you guys. So we tried a couple little digs just to see if we could build some gaps or maybe have a couple of their guys drop out. They had 3 early on that kind of went up the road, and we were hoping that they were going to kind of putter out and we'd have a numerical advantage. But to their credit, those guys, got absorbed and were able to recover and stick in the bunch with no problems. So, but I think, we did a great job too, not overreacting, kind of staying calm and just, churning at the front, keeping the gap in check, but not really stressing when they went up the road. Because if we had sent somebody across, they probably would have just marked us and we would have just brought somebody over to them, and then they would have had numbers and they could have attacked over the top. So I think we played it tactically as well as we could have. We knew they had a strong sprinter with O'Malley. And so we knew towards the end of the race, going over that last reverse KOM, that there were likely a chance that they were going to be playing the sprint for O'Malley. And, to some extent, we kind of succeeded, just let them have that. And we wanted to play the numbers game. And so our big focus was really having everybody at the top. And the guys rode incredible. I mean, these are 2 six-man teams that are probably as strong as any 6-man teams you'll find anywhere on the Zwift platform in the B category.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about on broadcast. This was really, a battle of the Titans, and I think the level. This was the first Zwift, match race we've done where we had 12 people going across the line in like the typical Zwift bunch, but you're not going to find 2 better tactical teams at any level in the platform than the Dirt and Finesse B team. So credit to each and every one of you. You guys, really fantastic race, a lot of fun. It flew by. It was just unbelievable.
minutes.
At one point, I checked the kilometer marker and I looked out at my notes and realized that we were already halfway done. I felt like we had just started. And I told them, I'm like, hey guys, we're already halfway through. And I mean, easy for me to say. I'm sitting here, sipping a bottle of water. But I think the guys all rode incredible. And we're so appreciative to you guys at No Breakaways for hosting this kind of an event. I think it is, like we said last time, it is unparalleled in terms of anything else going on within Zwift. And I think it really offers an opportunity for the racers and spectators alike to experience some serious tactics, more so than you do in the mass start events that you normally see on Zwift, where everyone's just trying to sit in and sprint hard at the end.
Yeah, no, well, and we really appreciate that. That's what we're trying to do, bring a different user experience. And, we're also very appreciative of you guys, letting us into your homes. We see Toby's riding with someone down there. We have the giant dirt poster. There we go. Hey, but it's a very intimate experience for the viewers, and it's what we're trying to do is like, what did you want to see in the Tour de France? Well, I'd love to sit in the team cars, and then everybody just lets us sit in the team cars. It's super cool, and we really are very appreciative of it. And fantastic race today, fellas.
Speaking of team cars, Rick, Paul makes it sound like it was all calm, coordinated, planned. I think if you were in for the whole race, it might have been quite a bit different. But great job. Thanks again, Rick, and thanks, guys. Great.
Yeah, you guys
did. Thank you. Great race.
Of course.
Perfect course.
We'll see you next time. I bet you there's going to be a rematch on this one.
Can we have
Hopefully, their guys all caught up to A by then.
All right. Good job, fellas.
I think a translator for me.
Hey, Finesse guys. I don't think we're going to need a translator, Greg. How you fellas doing? Great race. Fantastic job.
Yeah, it looked like a fun race for the guys.
Yeah, it really a lot of tactics there. We saw you guys, you got Austin, Joe, and somebody else up the road there. Were you hoping that break was going to stick, or was it just to test the dirt legs?
Yeah, we had Nate in there also. We were kind of hoping when we go over the kick, we could maybe drop one or two of them. We knew they had a lot of good 1 minute power guys, but there was a couple guys, maybe Toby and Jeff Hines. We thought there was a chance we could maybe drop them there, and then we could get the numbers, and then we could have a little bit more fun throwing attacks. But yeah, just wasn't quite long enough to drop anyone there.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race, and we saw it looked like you guys went 1, 2, 5. Is that right?
I missed it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. One of the guys racing, they'll have to say if they saw the finish placings. But yeah, I think Greg was first overall anyway. So
yeah, Greg was definitely first. It was hard to see who was who was there next. It's hard without seeing the race results come up, but. So did you guys execute your plan like you were hoping?
Other than the finish line, I struggled thinking it was earlier.
Yeah, it seemed like a great group sprint. That's the first 6v6 match race that's come down to the end, and like we were just talking to the dirt guys. There's really no higher level of Cat B than the Finesse and Dirt guys. I mean, and tactically, what a fantastic race by everyone. Did you kind of racing against those guys, was it more difficult tactically than you expected?
Yeah, I'll let one of the guys who was racing answer that question.
Yeah, I think so, because we had some strategy we tried to pull, and they just weren't biting, and then they just used the blob to catch up in the draft.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic racing by each and every one of you. So thanks a lot. We really appreciate everything you guys do, coming on the channel, kind of sharing this with us, letting us sit in the team car. So nice job, and have a great weekend, fellas.
Yeah, thanks for putting on, Rick.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right, Ian, what did you think, man? What did you think of the race?
Wow. I mean, I didn't expect all 12 to come across the line simply based on every race that we've done. We haven't seen that, right? We haven't seen that. Maybe we need to pick a harder course. No, but I think, taking away what I took away from the race was, obviously in the team interviews, respect for both teams competing at a very high level in the B category. I mean, I think I had a feeling that Greg O'Malley would lay a monster sprint, but I think Nigel was right there. I think the difficulty in the sprint at the end for both teams was managing that draft going into it with such a high pace. And we heard, Stephen DeBoer say, I had a little bit of trouble with the sprint. I thought the sprint was coming up a little bit, sooner. I think, that probably, we haven't calculated the points, but I think that might cost Finesse the head-to-head just because of him going maybe a little bit too early and then Dirt utilizing the draft at the end. What do you think?
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm texting, trying to get the results here. So that's our next hurdle as we grow and improve is to figure out how to see the results. I have no idea how Nathan sees the results on when he's broadcasting. But for me, that course knowledge, I was surprised to hear Steve say that. I mean, he's an incredibly experienced, excellent Zwifter. I mean, I've been beaten by him a million times. I think in a race like this, anytime two high-level teams go against each other in any sport, it comes down to the little tiny things and mistiming a sprint. Greg O'Malley, you saw, he has 700 Zwift races. He's not going to mess up the sprint. He's just not gonna. Maybe he does one out of every 20 times, but you don't want to play those odds. So it comes down to these little tiny things on who made breakaways where, little tiny tactical things. So it's interesting.
Just to defend Steven, I would say, him saying, I think I misjudged the sprint. I think he probably isn't alone, but I think based on previous head-to-heads, we haven't had the ability to have it actually be the banner, right? Mm-hmm. So I think in his defense, or any dirt riders who may have felt similar, since we now have the ability to create, a real meetup where they start out of the pens, I would assume that they thought the banner might have been just a little bit earlier, but I think no one will make that mistake again as we go forward with having official Zwift events, which I'm very, very thankful for. I think it creates that full Zwift racing dynamic when it's that way.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, I was a little surprised by how long the sprint is, and I've raced that course a bunch of times, but, ultimately we all get stuck in whatever courses we race a lot, whichever ones, like I never mess up the Innsbruck sprint because I love racing Innsbruck, or the Richmond sprint because I love racing Richmond. But I don't race Watopia that much. So if if you're really used to France, you're going to know the France finishes, right? So it could be something like that as well, where it's just, where it's just unfamiliarity with the course. I would have messed up that sprint today for sure.
Yeah, not a sprint that you're used to seeing at all. I'm used to going the other way. I'm used to coming down the hill. But, I know that when you reach that bridge coming into the finish, you better have launched by then. That's all I know, right? Is the bridge is my marker, right? Sometimes we're not relying on the distance counter. We know the road and the exact space to go. So I think that may have played a role down the stretch for both teams is, how familiar are you with that run up to the finish, right? And I think, like you said, Greg, it doesn't matter what course it is. He probably knows the sprint finish.
So we're getting some preliminary results in. So keep in mind these are preliminary. It looks like the results were finesse, dirt, finesse, dirt, finesse, which means, so this is low score wins. This is cross-country scoring, so all my runners out there are going to be familiar with this. Lowest score wins. We ended up with dirt 10, finesse 11. So very close race. I'm sure there's going to be a rematch. I bet there's going to be a lot of chat in the Discord channel about a rematch, probably in about 2 or 3 minutes. So, congratulations to all the guys. Any final thoughts here, Ian?
Final thought is, again, very grateful for everyone who has tuned in over all the races that we've done, that stay with us through the broadcast, for the team interviews and everything that we're accomplishing. Thank you to our viewers. And thank you to the racers who make this possible, and to you, Rick, for growing this channel and believing that, head to head is really a compelling narrative that needs to be embraced. And we're always looking for more teams, so reach out to us. And thank you so much to everyone.
Yeah, and I'll echo that. And thanks to Ryan McGee. He doesn't get any credit, but he does a ton of work in the background, getting everything ready. Thanks to Paul on Dirt. He sent me all these pictures. He organizes. Thanks to Matthew for from Finesse. These guys are wrangling all the bios, getting everything set up. It's a big effort to do all this, and especially thank you to the viewers. We always appreciate you tuning in here at No Breakaways. We're doing our best to hopefully, give you some compelling content to help you learn a little bit about Zwift. I'm always learning, and we got some new cool content coming up. So make sure you stay tuned. And if you like the channel, click like and subscribe. I think every YouTuber has to say that every single time. So I'm just getting in the groove. And have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next time.